Curious about what sets a luxury adults only resort apart? On this episode, Taryn and I take you behind the scenes of our latest stays at a few breathtaking destinations, including one that is on many Points and Miles users' bucket lists and should be on yours as well. We'll break down everything from the stunning beachfront views to the must-try dining experiences and even the little-known perks of upgrading for exclusive VIP access. If you're dreaming of a perfect escape and want to know how to book it using points, this episode is your ultimate guide. Tune in to discover where your next dream destination just might be. Welcome, everybody, to the Revolutionizing Your Journey podcast. I am your host, DeAndre Coke, and with me today is my beautiful and lovely co host and fiance, Taryn. And today we've got an awesome one for you guys. So, if you follow our show, you know that we are what you call dinks, which is dual income, no kids, or more specifically, we are dink wads, dual income, no kids with a dog. And so when we travel, we prefer the adults only types of resorts. And so on our show today, we wanted to talk through a few of the ones we've been to. And recently, we've stayed at a few in Mexico over the last few months.
Absolutely. All of those have been under the Hyatt brand of hotels, which is cool because you can transfer over all of your Chase Ultimate Rewards points over to your Hyatt to book these. And some of these are in the new family of resorts.
Yeah. So what we're going to do today is we're going to mention the one that we just recently returned from. Then we're going to talk about the one that we stayed just a few months ago, last fall, that 100% needs to be on your bucket list and on your travel list because it was phenomenal. And then we're going to also talk about the points required to stay in these types of places. And at the end, we will wrap up with a couple honorable mentions as well.
All right. So first up is Secrets Playa Blanca Costa Mujeres, which we were at for 4 nights.
Yeah, so we just got back from this place and had a blast. This was actually a group trip. We went with some other financial advisor colleagues and friends of mine and their significant others as well. And this was a really unique place to be because this resort was new, and actually it was in the very far northeast part of Cancun, like even past, if you're familiar with the Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum area, it's actually even farther past the ferry that it takes to get to Isla Mujeres, which is another popular destination in that area. So it's about an hour drive from the Cancun airport. Brand new resort, just opened a few months ago. Like even the gym had like one treadmill and like no equipment. The spa wasn't fully ready yet, which is all okay because they were still fully operational in a lot of other ways. And Taryn, I know you and I, we decided to get the preferred club because we've stayed at Secrets a
We're
number of
spoiled.
times, and yeah, exactly. So the preferred club is the way to go. We're going to talk about the benefits throughout, as far as like what the preferred club benefits actually are. But let's just talk first impressions. So Taryn, what were some of your first impressions, like right when we pulled up, right, like, right through the door?
I mean, I thought it was nice. It was new. It felt sparser in the shrubbery, which I bet sounds like a very strange kind of feedback to provide. But as we've spent more time in Secrets resorts, I've recognized that there are secret spots by the pool, which is sort of their thing. And they typically have this lush foliage, which they had just started to plant, but it wasn't there yet. So it was a bit sparse in terms of secret places to hide. But it definitely had a really cool, I like the rock formation area in their pool, which was really
Oh yeah, that was
natural,
really cool.
like the natural limestone. It looked like they had just dug the boulders out and were like, screw it, let's just leave these here and incorporate it because it would look cooler and just be more natural to like the local just backdrop. I don't know. It worked. I was a little disappointed just because again, it was a soft launch. So a lot of the preferred club amenities that we're used to, which is the reason we upgrade, were not like as, I guess, distinguished. with some of the preferred lounges where it was kind of anybody could go. The preferred beach bar, they still were setting up. There was no distinguishing line, at least from my impression, of like what was preferred and what wasn't. Where the more established secrets resorts, it seems very clear, where you're permitted to go as preferred and where you're not. But what did you think?
Yeah, I would agree with you kind of on that line. Usually they're asking like what your room number is just to even know if you were a part of the preferred club or not. I agree with you, right? It took me a while to understand why. We walked in, I was like, man, this is really bright. And of course, we're in Mexico, like the sun's beaming, but like it just felt more bright and airy than usual. And then it clicked a couple of days, like, oh, all these palm trees are brand new. They're very small relative to like some of the other places we've been where the trees are 10 years old or whatever it may be. Um, One thing is want to note the staff super nice, super friendly. They were great. Another first impression of all time we stayed at Secrets Resorts. This was the first time that we didn't actually get walked to our room, especially with Preferred Club. Usually there's someone that kind of guides us to our room and then shows us all the amenities, which the plus side is we didn't spend 15 minutes with them explaining to us how the light switches worked. So that was nice. But that was probably one thing that, again, a little silver lining, wasn't a huge concern. But what did you think about the room?
I thought the room was gorgeous. It just didn't seem like the preferred amenities were as flushed out as they are in other secrets resorts that we've stayed at. So I guess that was the part that was a bit blurry, but I thought the room was gorgeous. We had a beautiful ocean facing room. It was a beautiful balcony. We had our own pool and couch. I mean, it was a gorgeous room, gorgeous location. We had beautiful beach access as well as to the pool right there. So I mean, the room itself, no complaints.
Yeah, location was pristine because the preferred clubs, they all got uh pretty much ocean view rooms versus resort view rooms. So very close, like you said, to the main pools and some of the restaurants that were closer to the beach. We also had that soaking tub outdoors, not just indoors. Which was really handy that one day where it like just randomly stormed. We could go in and we had basically a kind of a mini pool on our balcony. And then the cool thing was is we did have a butler as well, which I think they were still working on that process a little bit also. But we did have a butler that we could message via WhatsApp and had a couple things that he provided for us that we requested, which was nice. And so, from the standpoint of the beach, right? I know, like location wise, that beach was probably one of the best beaches I've seen all my times in Mexico, at least that part of Mexico. I really loved the fine sand, like almost close to sugar sand, like super white. And outside of one of the days there, the sargassum or the seaweed, like that sometimes happens where it infests the beach down in Mexico or in Cancun, which I think a lot of people sometimes they catch on vacation. They can't even use the beach because it's so bad there. But it actually really wasn't bad. One day it was not really great to swim in, but for the most part, it was pretty good. What'd you think?
I thought the beach was pretty. I thought the access was nice from our room, at least, and it was very powdery sand. There was a bit of seaweed, but I mean, I guess I'd argue that there'd be very few places to find in the ocean that have no seaweed. So, you know, doesn't seem like a notable factor for traveling, in my opinion.
I would agree.
Do you want to talk about the beach bar and my favorite part?
I will let you share that because I know that beach bar was all you.
Yeah, I love the beach bar. They had amazing swings at the bar, which was fantastic. You could just like relax. They had them on the both sides. So whether the sun was setting or rising, you could be on the other side where you're in the shade, or you could be in the side where you had the sun, which is nice to have all of those options as well as some nice swing seating. I feel like sometimes with swings, you have to really just sit where they are. Uh, so it was nice having options and just being able to get down to the beach in that way. I think it was nice. I think it probably beach access wise, it was one of the better, although probably not the best. But I will get to that.
Speaking of which, what do you think was the best then?
I really liked the espresso martinis at the preferred bar, even though we didn't know it was preferred from looking at it or seeing who could go in and out. But they definitely had a really good drink menu. But I enjoyed the beach swings, so probably that was my favorite.
Personally, I think the Preferred Club Lounge Bar was the best. They had the best selection of drinks. The best drink that I had there, I kept going back specifically to that one place, which was pretty centrally located, not terrible hard to get to. It did get super crowded that one day it rained, which again is where we questioned a little bit how much are they policing the preferred club aspect. But you know what, new resort and it's not that big of a deal. We still had a good time. Overall, though, I was fairly pleased with the food. I think in a couple places it was okay. Other places it was really, really good. Did you have any specific highlights yourself?
I mean, I love the teppanyaki. That was great, and the French food is always my favorite. So I always feel like I lean towards the French and Japanese as my favorite in most all inclusives, to be fair. So I don't think it's just restricted to this one, although I have to say that the teppanyaki was very special in this location. It was very much a show, and it was excellent. And I also very much enjoyed the French food. If it wasn't good French, it wouldn't be good. So
Yeah. No, I'm not a huge French food lover, but the food there
what?
was really, really
You're
good.
not?
Um, well, I should rephrase that. I'm not a fan of the, I guess, finer aspects of French food like escargot and caviar and such, but they had some amazing short rib and other aspects that I really, really liked. My tastes aren't as refined as yours when it comes to fine dining.
It's not about that. It's just about things that taste yummy.
Overall, though, the vibe, I thought it was great. I really, it definitely looks much like your typical Secrets resort. Activities were fun. It was lively. I will say it did feel a lot, way less kind of calm and romantic compared to other Secrets resorts. I'd been at different Secrets resorts in the past where I was just kind of sitting at a chair by myself, napping on the next to the pool. It had a little speaker next to me that was very quiet, not playing loudly at all. And security like come up to me and told me to turn it off. That was not the vibe here. There was lots of like birthday parties, like turning 40 parties where like 20 people showed up, wedding groups. So there were some groups that
Bachelorette.
were,
Yeah.
yeah, bachelorette. Yeah, there's other groups that were getting a little rowdy, not like crazy rowdy, but they were just having a good time, and they felt like the staff was vibing with them as well. So I loved it overall. Taryn, what were your thoughts? Right, how'd you like the vibe, the energy, and the location for it being a brand new resort?
I liked it. I think it was a really beautiful location. I can understand why they would want to continue to build, especially north of Cancun. The beach there is beautiful. And then you're not that far from, the Cancun airport, which is great. I think that once they continue to expand and like fill those beds, and I mean, actually, like the sunbeds, um, some of them didn't have chairs yet. So we really got a sneak peek, but it's a beautiful property. And I think that they did some really cool things with incorporating nature with the jungle pools and like the limestone and, the other pool area. So I thought it was nice. I liked it. How many points does it take to stay here?
Yeah, so the points calendar isn't established yet, so it's kind of hard to get a definitive answer. It is an award category D resort, and so for Hyatt they have their 1 through 8 for regular hotels, and then for their inclusive collection they have categories A through F. So the higher letter and the higher number is the best. So this is a category D, which it should mean following those rules that it's about 25,000 to 35,000 points for a standard room, about 34,000 to 44,000 points for a preferred club. And, if you get lucky, you find one off peak, you can get a preferred club oceanfront master suite for 50,000 points per night. Right. So if you are accumulating Chase points, and as we talk about often, Chase is really the one place to transfer to Hyatt. You could stay here at the 100,000 Chase points. If you found off peak timing, you could actually get a room at this resort 4 nights for about 100,000 points, which is not bad at all. And it is a beautiful location and beautiful place. So, Taryn, would you want to stay here again?
Absolutely. No question.
Nice. Yeah, I would agree. I absolutely would. Yeah, I absolutely would want to stay here. I think it was a great place, and I think that will refine some of the stuff that's lacking with it being so new.
Absolutely. So, next up, we're going to talk about Impressions Moshe by Secrets, which is one of probably our favorite resorts anywhere in the world that we've been. And we were there for 8 nights. Why did I love this? There's so many reasons. Part of it, I think, was initially it was my first Secrets, and wow, what a way to start, right? Like your first
Yeah.
Secrets resort is Moshe. Impressions, like we're preferred club. I mean, it was, and now that I feel like we've traveled to more Secrets, I have better perspective and more appreciation actually for how fantastic they did at the differentiation, I think, in the preferred status and then like what you get, the resorts preferred like breakfast options, dinner options. Their clubs were exquisite food. The other food was great too. Um, it was just a beautiful location in itself. Um, it's more pools than I think I've ever seen in any resort. um, there were so many beautiful things about Secrets Impressions Moshe, and I feel like if you ask anybody about Secrets and if you just Google it, it's going to be one of the first things that comes up because it makes an impact, and it's definitely um, differentiated from the other locations in a fantastic way.
Yeah, I mean, we've stayed in amazing places all over the world, and this place just really knocked it out of the park. We would have been there for 4 nights again, but we actually had travel insurance and a reimbursement credit that added the other 4 nights because of a previous trip we were supposed to take that got canceled because of a hurricane. So that's what made it us extend to the 8 nights. And like you mentioned, so Impressions as a whole is a preferred club, and so for if you're looking it up, there is a Secrets Moshe, and then there's an Impressions Moshe by Secrets. And so Impressions Moshe is its own building on the Secrets property with rooftop restaurant, huge infinity pools, and if you're at the beach, it's the whole right side of the resort. It's got a lobby bar, and I know that's where you discovered your favorite drink of all time was in that lobby bar.
I didn't even discover it. They have master bartenders, I have to say. They are mixologist masters because this man asked me 3 questions and was like, "This is your drink." And he was right. I drank it that whole trip and I have not stopped drinking passion fruit mezcalitas since we've been to this resort. And it's something I've carried on and continued and tried to master and make it as good as they made it. And I also think I would say that this um, Secrets is probably the best drinks and food of the ones that we've been to, or at least the ones I've been to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they even had some really specific restaurants as well, right? Like they had that one restaurant called Ember, which was fire cuisine. Like you walk in, it smells like you're walking into like like a smoke shack. I mean, their restaurant presentation was incredible. I know you really loved the Seaside restaurant, which was in the bottom of the Impressions building and right on the beach. I know you had some incredible meals there. You kept I know you kept sending me pictures of like when we were separated, like, oh, this is the meal that I got. Like this is, I know you love that place.
Hey, you love the buffet, and I love my ocean view and my private meal. So, yeah, I had a great time. Seaside was fantastic. I would go down there. I had a view of the ocean. I had my feet in the sand, and they had amazing food. I sometimes I'd even have a green juice when I started to feel like I'm starting healthy before I ordered a mimosa. Um, and then they had amazing like Spanish cuisine as well as American, and I really liked the Spanish menu. Actually, it was very good.
It was phenomenal. While we're on the food subject, we also got a really cool experience with Teodoro because that's a restaurant there that is a premium dining experience. So it's 250 per person to dine there, unless you are preferred club slash impressions and staying 4 nights or more. So if that's happening, then you get this $500 for a couple food experience. And that was a very premium, high class, multi-course dinner. And they had a wine pairing for every course. And I think it was, you're gonna know this better than me. I think it was considered like synchronized serving, right? Where they serve you at the same time. So it was almost like Michelin star quality dining experience. And very specifically, it's in the Impressions building, and we got to have that for included because of just being preferred club and being 4 nights or more.
Yeah, it was definitely white glove service, and they synchronized their serving. So, as long as I had you aware that the person was about to put something down, it worked out great. You just need a little heads up.
Yep, yep. Hey, it's DeAndre here, and we're going to interrupt this episode real quick to tell you about 2 great opportunities for all of you. First, join our private Facebook community to connect with fellow points and miles enthusiasts, get exclusive tips and updates, as well as get your questions answered directly by me and others in the community. And if you're looking to level up your points and mile skills, we've partnered with Lux Travel Hacks to offer you 50% off their online course that will teach you all the basics you need to know to learn how to travel in business or first class, all for less than you'd pay for economy. Don't forget to use the code BOLDLYGO at checkout. You'll find all the details and links to both of these in the show notes. Now, let's get back to our episode. Do you recall our butlers? I would say that our butler service there was
Very good.
phenomenal. That was, they set the bar, right? And it sounds almost, I don't know, pretentious to talk about butler service, but I mean, they did such a great job. They really set the bar. We had 2 of them. We had a group chat on WhatsApp.
They did a great job of covering their days off, which I feel like is something that doesn't happen in some of the other areas yet. And that,
Yep.
I think, is why they set the bar, because you're right, there was no lapse of time, because there was always someone actually committed and fully available while we were staying there.
And even that there was a day I think that you weren't feeling well, and they like hooked you up with all the things that you needed, right? Like they did a phenomenal job
Yes.
and just really took care of us.
Yes, I had a bit of a tummy ache. And I requested soup, which was not on the menu. They got me some beautiful chicken soup, some ginger ale. Um, they took very good care of me when I needed it. So I'm definitely loyal to the butler service at that resort, because I felt like it was what your parents would do if they could take care of you when you're sick.
Yeah, no, it was 5 out of 5 stars. It was awesome. So I'm going to name one low and I'm going to name one high, both that kind of caught me off guard. So the low was the beaches. And not because there's anything wrong with the beach and the water or anything like that, but as soon as you take a foot step onto the beach, there is someone there trying to get you to come with them for a massage or to buy some wares or to do this or do that, and they're actually pretty pushy. So that's honestly my only low of the whole resort, is that like you kind of don't really want to be on the beach. I don't know if that's why they also installed a pool that has a natural sand beach built into it, this huge sand bottom pool beach. But that's probably my one low. But the high was that their nightclub Gypsy was the most insane resort nightclub I have ever seen anywhere. So that's my low and high. Taryn, would you agree with both of those statements?
I don't know if the low would be the same, but I do agree the high was there, because that was a really cool speakeasy vibe to get into it. I won't spoil it for you guys. I'll let you find it. Um, but it was a really cool entrance to get into the nightclub. It was very unique and definitely not something that you see typically in an all-inclusive resort. So I was very much impressed by that as well. I had a great time there.
Awesome. So in general, Taryn, thoughts? Would you stay there again?
Yes. That's an easy yes. Yes. You?
100%. And this one, points wise for the listeners out there, this is actually an award category F. So this is the top of the top for Hyatt's all inclusive collection. Their regular Secrets Moshe is a category E, just to note. But for category F, it's going to cost you some points. Off peak, it's 42,000 points for a standard room. Now, again, standard room is still preferred club and Impressions, all the way up to 58,000 points per night. And again, this is just for a regular room, not even including a suite or anything like that. Suites can get up to 115,000 points per night, which you will rarely see, but they're there. But I don't know if I would necessarily use my points that level, but this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful resort. Fantastic place to stay. But if you're going to want to go premium, and a suite, it's going to cost you a good chunk of points. So if you've got a ton of chase points burning a hole in your account and you want to burn them in a beautiful location, this would be a really great place to stay. But regardless, you want to put this on your bucket list. It's a phenomenal place.
Absolutely. It was beautiful. I would definitely want to go back. So are we going to get to our honorable mentions?
Yes. So just two couple quick ones for honorable mentions. One, Secrets Aura Cozumel. We stayed there for 5 nights back in February. We used points to get to stay in the preferred club. I know, Taryn, you ended up actually upgrading us to beachfront, which was a really gorgeous location, especially because of the sunset with the beach and everything like that. The location itself, there was some HVAC issues. It was a much older location, but it's also only one of 2 adults only resorts in Cozumel. Food was okay, staff was great, but that was a place that I think we would go back specifically for the activities that we could do there, diving, those type of things. Taryn, what were your thoughts on that place?
I thought that was actually one of the best beach accesses I've ever had from a room. Once we got that beach front room, so we were able to just
Yeah.
walk out into the beach. Um, no red tape, no paths, just walk from your, you know, uh outdoor sliding door and just walk out into the beach, which is gorgeous. And it was a beautiful beach because Cozumel is fantastic for diving, a million other things. But I love the beach access. And I agree, like it's obviously an older property, which I think they do the best to still make it feel as luxurious as they can, because those are things that they can't control. And that's why I think the staff was so great. So I think it was a really great location. And I thought the staff was fantastic.
Yeah, that was probably, like you said, I think that was the closest onto the beach room we've ever had, because basically you open the sliding door and it was 20 steps and your foot's touching water. So that was pretty good. Only thing that was probably slightly closer might have been our stay at the Hyatt in the Maldives, because basically we had our own private bungalow that was essentially on the beach. So I think that might have slightly been closer.
We couldn't see anything from our bed though in our bungalow
You're right.
because of the tree
You're right.
line. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, you're right. I'm not saying it touches the Maldives, but from our doors we could watch the sunrise, sunset. We could lay out there. We had our own private chairs, which was really cool. And they also didn't mind if we blasted the speakers and pumped up some music, which was really fun, especially for Secrets, that they were cool with that. So yeah.
And our staff was the staff there was awesome, because the basically the woman that I think, Vidi Danya, that was her name. She was serving the like preferred club pool area, but our room was right next to it. So she would actually come check on us while we were just lounging out in front of our room for drinks or food or whatever. So yeah, staff was great there, especially being in that preferred club area.
All right. So I guess next will be I think, first all inclusive that you and I went to together. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because this was your first trip to time in Mexico.
Yeah.
And what day did we get there on?
We went on Cinco de Mayo to Mexico, which, yes, I know it's a bit corny, especially people from Mexico. You're probably going to just laugh at us Americans. But it's okay because it was still a fun time for me to finally pop my Mexico cherry. And we stayed at the beautiful Breathless Cancun Soul. And we stayed there for 5 nights, I think.
I think it was something like that. It was either 4 or 5 nights.
And actually, I got a deal on that because it had just opened at the time, if you remember, because we had both never heard of it. and I had just gotten my new MX Platinum and I had all these points to burn. And I said, "Hey, why don't we just use them here? Look at this deal. Look how nice this place looks." And the more research that we did, we were like, "Okay, like why not?" But honestly, I was very pleasantly surprised with Breathless, and I really enjoy the vibe. It is not your typical couples resort. It's not your typical vibe in that sense. It's much more party scene. It's much more like vibrant and fun. And their pool parties are definitely not for the faint-hearted. I mean, it is a totally different experience than you would get at the Secrets property. I mean, what do you think?
Oh yeah, it was on another level. I mean, DJs by the pool, and I mean they had that's the first time I got to see a foam or fog cannon up close, right, or CO2 cannon. I mean, they were just the liveliness and the energy. I mean, it was almost like the Miami pool scene, but at the resort that you're staying at, right? And it's still all inclusive. There's still drinks, et cetera, et cetera. It was really, really fun, super lively. Just love the atmosphere, love the energy. And to what you said about the Amex points, so that was actually really unique because if you're listening, you're like, well, I didn't think Amex could transfer to Breathless. Well, it doesn't transfer to Hyatt. What actually happened was because it had just opened, we had actually just happened to see through the Amex portal that you could use your points the traditional portal way, which we almost never do and always talk about, hey, don't use your points this way. But the discount that they were offering on points was so good that it actually made sense to use the MX points through their portal to stay here because it was a newly open and they just had some incredible deal that we happened to catch kind of last minute to go there. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, we got really lucky. And I think overall it was a great experience. I'm a really big fan of what they've done with the Breathless brand. There's a couple of things that I would change or that aren't the maybe things you should keep in mind if they're important to you. How about that? So with Breathless, it is very much like a party. So there are a lot of upsell opportunities, which makes sense actually, because they're actually selling you something that is desired. You're up close to the fire dancers, like you're actually getting something where I think in some of these other preferred clubs and such, when you're in a couple's destination, it doesn't feel the same. This feels more like you're in a high-end club and you have the best seat in the house. And it's a party, but the downside for me, as somebody who loves champagne and wine, is that you could not order wine or champagne at all in the resort, which I have not heard of. That you could get unlimited well drinks and liquor drinks, but you could not just get a mimosa without an upcharge.
Yeah, outside of buying a bottle.
Yeah, and if you wanted champagne, you had to buy bottles, which was an upcharge. It was still a fantastic presentation. You had great seating. I mean, I can't even hate on the bottle service because it was top notch, and I've done a lot of bottle service. So, I mean, it was fantastic bottle service. Although I was that's the one thing that I think is the drawback from the Breathless brand as somebody who loves my bubbly. Not being able to have that as part of my all inclusive was a bit of a damper for my stay. But I think that's probably the only thing I didn't love about Breathless.
Yeah, because I mean, even when I went to the French and Italian restaurants, like usually wine is just served, right? And it was, hey, if you want wine, it's $100 for this bottle of wine, just for wine at the dinner table. So I agree with you that that was a little bit of the detractor. For me, I felt like their dress code seemed stricter than the Secrets, and again, for a place that's supposed to be more party and lively, like they kept turning me back for clothes that I've worn at Secrets resorts. It might be a shirt that has buttons but doesn't have a collar on it, and so they're like, sorry, it has to have a collar. So that was a couple things. Maybe they were being a little more strict because their staff was newer, trying to get used to the process. Who knows? But those are, I mean, a couple minor detractors there. But overall, I mean, I would be happy to go back there and stay there again. I'm sure you would too, Taryn.
Oh, definitely. I would love to go back. I feel like I've been coming up with reasons that we should go back since we went the first time. But I agree. I think they were actually very much enforcing the dress code more than other locations that we've been to, which is actually kind of hilarious. Um, when you think about how different the overall vibe is of the resort and what they are kind of standing on. Because Breathless is probably the least stuffy, I guess. I don't mean stuffy. You know what I mean? But eh, they were very strict and they did turn you away a couple times.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, my man's a rule breaker. So, long pants, he didn't know.
So for those that are looking to stay there, and you're like, hey, well, how many points to stay there? Both Breathless, Cancun Sol, and Secrets Cozumel are both award category C's. All right, so Moxché was an F. Impressions Moshe was an F. This is a C. So it's only about 21,000 to 29,000 points for a standard room. And then it goes up to a suite for about 36,000 to 44,000. So definitely points can get you there. You can get a nice room, again, 100,000 chase points, and you are staying there for 4 nights. And so overall, beautiful place to stay. We'd love to go back to these places. Whether, you know, if we're going back looking for great diving in Cozumel, you know, Secrets is an option for that. Just an incredible, relaxing stay. Impressions Moshe. If we want to party it up, the Breathless brand is great for that, especially Cancun Sol. So these are the ones that we've been to. Hyatt makes it easy with so many adults only options available, and the ability to transfer your points from Chase makes Chase super, super valuable, especially for the stays. So again, we wanted to highlight some of the places that we've stayed. Taryn, any final thoughts you have as far as the Secrets brand, the Impressions brand, the all-inclusive, the adults only, anything else you have before we wrap this one up?
Just saying, I've always loved all inclusive, adults only. Thank you for introducing me to the Secrets brand. I'm very much a fan, and I think that there's something for everyone at all of these locations, and they are all very different. At least of the three that we discussed with Secrets as well as Breathless. I mean, they're very different, and it's all about figuring out like what is most important to you and for your journey and what you want. So I guess that's what I hope that you get from this. Um, Also, if you have an adults only resort that you think we should visit ourselves, let us know. Shoot us an email at support@boldlygo.world or DM us on Instagram and let us know where you think we should try next.
If you're interested in staying at any one of these places, we're going to go ahead and link to them in the show notes as well. As always, Taryn, thank you for being my lovely guest and co-host today on the show. And I always love talking through our travel experiences together with you and for the listeners to be able to hear some of the great places that we've been. And reminders for the listeners, if you love this episode today, please be sure to follow us on all the social media channels and sign up for our newsletter as well. Don't forget, we always have a link to our current best card offers. So if you're looking for the right cards that are going to get you the strategies to travel like we do and stay in the same places that we do, the link is going to be in the show notes as well. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, do all the things. And we will catch you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.